I think, first of all, you have one overarching, I don't know whether it's called a conclusion or principle, which is that we have to plan not for the next election. We have to plan for the next generation. I think that if the understanding is that the policies that are being put in place are not time-bound, 4 years, 5 years, but that we're looking in terms of decades or generations, it then gives us the opportunity to be able to put in place the kind of policies that can deliver for more than the next 5 years and go down the road. So we're then looking, for instance, at the whole paradigm of economic development. Here we are, resource rich and yet poor. How do we transition with our resources? We have to find a way of adding value. We have to find a way of enhancing their economic potential for our lives. So the planning, if it is done with the future in mind, in itself becomes a way of being able to deal with how you can then not compromise the resources that you have, because your plan is how, in fact, to maximize them and by adding value to them. So I think that these are some of the things that have to be the thinking of anybody who's a responsible leader in the continent today. First of all, I believe that the differing interests of Europe and Africa, I'm not sure that that has still been sufficiently addressed. We are wanting now to develop, and in doing so, many of the things that we have to do would seem to be against the interests of those who are already well established. Take, for instance, the position of some of these multinational corporations that are on our continent exploiting its resources. There has to now come a time when the actions that we take to defend the economic future of our people will come into some sort of conflict with the activities of these multinational corporations. I think the EU-Africa partnership will work well when there's a clear understanding that this is inevitable, but that there are ways of being able to resolve these conflicts that would allow the relationship to prosper rather than to deteriorate. There are shared interests we have, issues of climate change, the responsible use of resources, the proper treatment of the planet. All of those form part of the deliverables that we're expecting from the next AEU summit. But I would insist that that overarching understanding of the different, if you like, takes on where we are is very important. And if we were to do so, it would also enable us to rationalize all of these. There's so many different legal instruments that bind Europe and Africa. But, I mean, the ACP is one, but there are several others. And I think that it would be simpler and more effective if we could find a way of having one document that encapsulates the relations between Africa and Europe. And that is what we in the Ghanaian government will be fighting for and trying to convince our peers on the continent. And that should be the posture that we take towards Europe. Well, the first thing, of course, is that the BRT system is being reviewed. Yeah, we have to start there. We can't just allow it to just fall into a basis. We have to review it. Secondly, new regulations are coming for the use of cables, inner city trains, electric buses, and vehicles. All those regulations are almost at the point of being concretized so that they can then drive our policies in the immediate future. We have to pay much more attention than we have so far to rail. So we're now working to have inner city rails both for Accra and Kumasi, which when they come into being, of course, would be a major contributor to lessening the dependence on road transport. As far as road transports are concerned too, we're going to be looking very much more at electronic vehicles, both buses and cars, and building, of course, more urban roads, interchanges. I think for the first time in our history, we're building 4 interchanges in Ghana today across 4 cities: Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and I believe Tema as well, as a way of trying to handle the congestions in our roads. It's not going to be an easy matter because the country is going very rapidly, but it is something that has to be done, and I think we're trying to find a way to do it.
Thank you very much for the intervention. Thank you so much.